at that time, did Miami-Dade College offer the 4-year degrees, or did you have to go to another school for your bachelor's degree?
Back then, it was only
The
two-year
2-year,
college,
yeah.
career
Okay.
college.
Okay.
Now, I believe that they offer four-year curriculum.
Absolutely, they do.
But back then, I was planning to go to school for industrial engineering at FIU.
Okay. Okay.
So that was the roadmap that I had. Then I continued my education at FIU
Okay.
to get my bachelor's degree as an industrial engineer.
Hello, and welcome to the Atlanteans podcast. I am your host, Dr. Miya Burt-Stewart. And today we have in the studio with us a gentleman that is renowned in his own right. We have Mr. Luis Guardamino, who is the National Sales Director for CACH Labor. Mr. Guardamino brings to the table a vast background of experience. Having previously been an international student himself, Mr. Guardamino understands best, or better than most, what it takes to transition from being an international student to a renowned professional within the recruitment and sales industry. I'm not going to tell you much about him. I will let him speak for himself. And so certainly without further ado, Mr. Guardamino, hello and welcome to the Atlanteans podcast.
Doctor, thank you very much. It's an honor to be in this platform, and we'll definitely would love to share everything that I have had in my life and transmit that to all the students that they can see it.
Yes.
So,
And so thank you for that. And you and I talked about this a little beforehand. One of the things that make you so appealing, right, to us, and as a standout, causes you to stand out to us, is the fact that at one point you were an international student, and so today you are a thriving professional, right, within a very particular industry, and so. As you know, here at Atlantis University, we have a large population of international students, and we want to be able to tell them your story so that they have some idea and maybe even, be able to develop their own roadmap into how to go from being an international student to a successful, thriving businessman, guru, intellect, all of that, right? And so we love to have you share with us and so I'll ask you a few questions, if you don't mind, just, giving your experience on it, right? Giving your take on it, maybe an example or two of how you were able to parlay certain experiences, how you were able to parlay coming from being an international student, right? Being in a foreign country, and look at you today. Look at where you are today and what you've been able to accomplish. So we'd love for our students to be able to hear that story.
it has been a long way. I believe that I have accomplished what every professional dream when they start,
Wow.
his early career.
Yeah.
I came as an international student, went to school at Miami-Dade Community College. Initially I had to study English, like every international student.
Uh-huh.
Probably that's the 1 year of learning curve to
Okay.
be able to understand what you're being taught in the classroom. And then after that, continue the education. That's the first milestone, to complete your English. Second milestone is to go with your general education studies to see what are you looking for, what is your career path. And that at that point, you might be on the side.
Okay.
But definitely you want to continue going for that education. Then after those 2 years, then that's when you really have to make up your decision when you're associate in arts and then going to school for a bachelor's degree.
And so now you mentioned that you started with the Language Institute, right, to get more proficient in English.
Correct.
Once you completed the Language Institute, you transitioned to the associates at Miami-Dade College.
That's
right?
correct.
And so at that time, did Miami-Dade College offer the 4-year degrees, or did you have to go to another school for your bachelor's degree?
Back then, it was only 2-year
2-year,
college,
yeah.
career
Okay,
college.
okay.
Now, I believe that they offer 4-year curriculum.
Absolutely, they do.
But back then, I was planning to go to school for industrial engineering at FIU.
Okay.
So that was the roadmap that I had.
Mhm.
Then I continued my education at FIU
Okay.
to get my bachelor's degree as an industrial engineer,
Mhm.
and then I had the opportunity to do interns and practices on that particular area of study.
Okay.
Just to give you some context, I did my practice at BE Aerospace,
Okay.
a company that is no longer here in South Florida, which is ABC Distributing.
Okay.
And then I learned everything that I need to learn. But this experience that I'm going to share right now might be also helpful, for the students. Sometimes you go to school for something that you think that you like, but along the way you discover other things, other
Sure,
talents that you might
sure,
have.
absolutely.
I had the opportunity to work also for a nonprofit
Okay.
called South Florida Workforce,
Okay, I'm familiar with South
which
Florida
is now
Workforce.
called Career Source.
Yes.
And I discovered a passion. I discovered another
Ah.
passion. Everything that I learned from school helped me out. And I'll tell you in a little bit as how my career transitioned to where I'm at right now.
Mhm.
South Florida Workforce is an institution now named Career Source
Mhm.
that help folks that are in the cycle of unemployment,
Mhm.
collecting any type of public assistance, or they are in a group where they are limited to resources. The main idea was to make the individual self-sufficient.
Yes.
So that was something very rewarding. It's probably, philanthropic if you want to call it. But then I started going into that particular field, and I discovered that there was a need for it. So everything that I learned in school, I applied towards that. So I grew up in that role as an employer consultant.
Okay.
With the knowledge that I have in school and the practices that I did as an industrial engineer, I was able to consult companies to determine the roadmap in HR for warehouses, manufacturing companies, logistics companies here in Miami,
Yes.
different institutions that were all over, the Miami-Dade County area. Not limited to that, also had to do business development.
Mhm.
I had to do job fairs, recruit folks,
Mhm.
with the main idea to get them out of that particular situation
Sure.
where they're at. Because let's face it, the human being deserves a better quality in life.
Yes.
So that was probably a change, and that's one thing that I want to share to the students too. Don't feel afraid to change. You
Yes.
might think that, okay, well, I went to school for this degree, but you know what? That's going to be useful at one point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. So I like that. And I like early on in our conversation that you were interjecting the fact and driving home the fact that just because this is what you went to school for, don't feel like that's the end all be all, right? Be open-minded to where your heart or where your passion takes you. And and sometimes, Luis, that can be a challenge for students, particularly students early on, if their parents are paying for school, right? Or if they are working and they are paying for school. So I think that when either of those situations, right, arise, students are less, not, I won't say less likely, but not as quick to change, right, their major or their background. And so what kind of advice then would you give to students who, again, their parents may be paying for school, or they are so far into a program that they want to change their passion has changed, their trajectory seems to be changing, but they don't know how to implement or how to move forward?
They need to finish that degree. They
Okay.
need to finish that degree.
Finish that degree.
Finish that
Okay.
degree. You need to have a powerful network around you.
Okay.
And again, just because you got your degree doesn't mean that you're going to be stopping studying.
Mm-hmm.
You need to continue educate yourself. even if you remain in that field or you don't go into that field, at one point, all the professionals, they go, either they want to have their own company, or they want to do consulting services, or they need to establish any type of business.
Okay.
So probably if you're in a different field, an MBA will work for you. Think about that. The network where you at right now in the school, like Atlantis University,
Sure.
you're meeting a lot of professionals from different fields.
Yes.
That's the future of your network. Network is very important in the professional life.
Yes.
Because a person that you're going to be sitting next to you is probably the person that you're going to be doing business with. It's going to be the person that probably you're going to work for, or probably is a person who's going to work for you.
Right. Yeah.
So if you have that mindset of business, at one point, you definitely need to have that idea that you need to adapt in your education future. So the parents, they need to, they probably put a little bit of pressure on making that investment, but at the end, we got to understand that, things change.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting that you say that. I think about, my years in college, right? I remember I have an MBA, but an MBA was not what I set out for. I set out to achieve a master's degree in English, rhetoric and composition. I love English. I love writing. That was what I wanted to do. And at the time, there was no degree that suited me, right? I was on the phone. I had a conversation with Kanye West's mother, Donda West, back in 2001, I think it was. I was running for public office. I knew that I needed a master's degree. I loved English. I wanted to be able to, get a degree that focused on rhetoric and writing, but there was no university that offered that particular degree. And at the time, they weren't, making. They used, how they would allow us to kind of create our own degree. That era hadn't been ushered in yet, and so I remember talking to Donda, and by the end of the conversation, there was no one and no way, right, that I could get that degree because it just wasn't offered, not even at Chicago State where she was and where I ultimately ended up going for a brief period. And so by the end of the conversation and speaking to her, I said, well, if I can't get an English degree, I'll get a business degree. So I pivoted from English to business, because prior to even wanting the business degree, I was working on a political science degree, right? I had already taken the courses for pre-law. So I say all that to say I was kind of all over the place as a student. So I like and I appreciate what you say about, listen, just your trajectory will change, right? Things may change, right? Get the degree, right? But still, it sounds like you're saying follow your passion.
And I thought that I found my passion, and giving a little bit of context, back in 2006 to 2007, the economy in the United States took a big hit. It was a recession. Probably some of the students don't remember because they were super young, but I'm sure you know what happened, that things changed. A lot of those programs from soft law workforce, now Career Source, they were either eliminated or they were canceled. So my dream that I had changed, not because I wanted to, because the situation happened.
That was the market,
so I had to do something. I had my education as a former industrial engineer student. So I went into the corporate world. From being in a nonprofit, I went to the corporate world to work at Del Monte Fresh Produce. And I applied everything that I have learned, logistics, operations, and sales. And I start from scratch, again, as a sales coordinator, assistant manager, then an account manager for large corporations, large grocery corporations. And that's one thing that, going back to what I said, life sometimes gives you a curveball. And you need to adapt into that. The industry gave me that chance, to adapt. And then after that, I spent probably close to 10 years. I thought that, okay, this is it. Like giving another curveball again. And that's the year of the lockdown. On
2019.
2020.
Yes.
2020, I was about to get promoted to become a district sales manager.
Wow.
And then
At Del Monte.
But things changed. Everybody was supposed to be sent back home. So we had to start working from there. The company took some losses. So the folks that were mentoring me for my promotion
Sure.
were no longer there because the company had to make a lot of reductions on the personnel. And so
Yeah.
folks had to pay for, the losses and mitigate
Sure,
it,
sure,
with payroll.
sure.
And life changed again. So I had to start from scratch. Life comes in the middle. My mom dies from COVID
Oh, sorry to
on
hear that.
2021.
Okay. Sorry to hear
So I
that.
had to move back to Peru
Okay.
to take care of some affairs. Had to stay there, and then the company said, you know what, Luis, we need you here, but unfortunately I couldn't. So I took some time, and then again I had to take another opportunity. Somebody gave me a business card from the founder of TTG, Luis Guardamino, which is a great friend of mine. Now was a friend of mine, but back then I didn't know him. And from Peru, I called him, look, I'm looking for a job. Do you think they can help me out? Well, Luis, when you come here, why don't we just have a cup of coffee and chat?
Yeah.
I thought maybe he was going to help me out to find a job. Guess what? We had the cup of coffee, and then he goes, Luis, okay, this is what I want you to do. This. Wait a second. I thought you were going to be giving me, helping me out with the job. No. I want you to work for me. You have the background on the nonprofit, the background
Wow,
sales. You work at
yeah.
Del Monte.
Mm-hmm.
You have an education. So come work with me. And giving context, I took the severance from Del Monte. It was not even a week after I got back to Miami,
Wow.
and he gave me that opportunity.
Wow. Awesome.
And
Now,
with this,
TTG, what kind of company was that?
TTG is in the staffing,
Staffing,
firm.
okay.
Right. They do a
Gotcha.
staffing. They
Okay.
have different verticals.
Okay.
They asked me to build the vertical of the legal, because they didn't have a legal
Okay.
area where they recruit attorneys.
Sure.
I brought 4 law firms to recruit for.
Wow.
We recovered some accounts that we didn't have any business for. I start building the finance and accounting as well. We recruit a couple of banks.
Awesome.
And I did really good I believe that I did really good for
Sure.
2 years. But again, things happen again. My dad had early stages of Parkinson.
Okay. Sorry
So
to
I
hear
had to go
that.
back to Peru
Sure,
again.
Sure.
Took
Yeah.
some time off. And then once he was taken care of well, spent time with him, got back to Miami. And this is what I'm going to say that to the students. It's very important for you guys to have your LinkedIn profile updated.
Yes. Yes.
Because when I got back to Miami, a recruiter in LinkedIn reached out to me. Say, hey, Luis, I look at your profile. I think that you can be a good fit for this company, which is CACH Labor. Do you have time to interview? I go, yeah, sure. The recruiter interviewed me. Say, okay, you look great. It's the week of Thanksgiving. Probably going to take a while to get back to you. But then he called me in 2 hours. Hey, Luis, I want to interview you now.
Awesome.
I want to interview you now. And I go,
Awesome.
okay, what about tomorrow? Tomorrow, met with with the president of the company, the CEO, the same week. And on Friday, the CEO flew here to Miami to meet me. And then the next Monday, I had an offer letter.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
and I have other offers and also as well. But why I choose CACH Labor? Because CACH Labor is an organization that's dedicated to help the workforce,
Okay.
the Latino workforce right now, that it's looking for employment, and we provide that in the construction, hospitality, and all the areas where labor is needed.
Okay.
Right now, there's a high demand. Just to give you an idea, manufacturing produces about $3 trillion revenue every year in the United States.
300 million?
Trillion.
Oh, 300 trillion or 3
Yeah.
trillion?
3 trillion.
$3 trillion.
$3 trillion in revenue.
Yeah.
So
That sounds about right.
yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in that
Yeah.
market, and they presented the model. I'm helping people out. I'm helping myself as well, and I continue the legacy what we initially was started with.
Yeah.
It's see how things fall into place. You got the education that you needed, you got your passion, And of course, you make the things the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to be successful, you got to be a good person. Or at least
Absolutely.
work towards that.
Works, certainly. And one of the things I definitely want to go back to, I think, would be pretty germane, and you even said it, right? Just networking, right? Networking. And so you had met a gentleman, right? You called him while you were in Peru and come back and had a conversation or coffee with him. He hires you, right? You had another unfortunate situation where you had to go back home, look after your dad. And so you made another call, right, about coming over here, or received a call.
I received a call, email.
And so it brought you back here into a position. And then you mentioned that LinkedIn, right? And so that's something that we're actually working on now, our production department. We are offering our students free photos for their LinkedIn profile. We definitely believe that LinkedIn is a great tool and a great way to access not only those that are looking for jobs, right, or employers that are looking for people, but people that are looking for jobs. And so one of the things that we're doing is we want our students to have a LinkedIn profile. We're helping them set those up for those that need the help. We've got majority of our students, particularly our international students, that have LinkedIn profiles. And so we're offering all of this week, all of next week, we're offering opportunities for them to take professional photos to add to the LinkedIn profile. So I certainly agree with you in terms of the networking piece, right, and that LinkedIn piece, just being out there. And your story of just being able to bounce back, right? It's a great story. Being able to bounce back. It's a great story. You left the U.S., went to Peru, took care of business, back in the U.S., was still able to make it happen, had to leave again, took care of business, back, and here you are today with CACH Labor.
CACH Labor,
With CACH Labor.
And the fact that this organization allows me to have that freedom also, CACH Labor, I'm the person that handles in the South Florida area. I'm working remote. I'm working in all these industries related to construction, manufacturing, landscaping, whenever the labor is needed right now.
Sure.
But this company has a true mission to help folks that are not only the employees, because CACH Labor has like about 1,000 employees in their payroll, and CACH Labor, it's a payroll and employer solution, but at the same time, it gives an alternative solution, labor solution to employers. Employers right now that they're having a hard time recruiting folks.
Finding folk, yeah.
Yes.
Are they national? Or
Yeah,
are they...
we do have presence in 33 states.
Okay.
We have 1,000 employees, so there's like about 1,000 families that they're getting that help because we hire them. And why the model is successful? Because we take care of them the right way. If they need to go to school for English, we pay for the classes. If they need to relocate from another city because of work, we consign on the lease. If they need some type of monetary assistance, we can lend them money at a lower rate.
Now, are you describing the international student, or who are you describing?
I'm
when you say
describing
that?
the folks that are right now in a political asylum. That they
Oh,
are
political asylum.
yeah,
Ah.
they have.
Gotcha.
They're here. They're legally. They're
And so
illegally here.
CACH is assisting individuals with that have gained political asylum. So
Correct.
once they've received political asylums from the government, you all are able then to reach out and help them in other ways with housing, I guess, cash, or
Right, and what happens is that this, since we're the employer of record, these employees will be loyal to us,
gotcha.
and we present this to the employer.
Gotcha. So, oh wow, this is a very interesting model, distinctive model. So, CACH Labor, right? Once an individual receives political asylum through the U.S. government, they are then connected to CACH, or can be connected to CACH Labor, and you assist from there. And so now you work only with those under political asylum, or you work with the general population?
Well, usually the ones with they are with the political asylum because of they need to have certain criteria to become a green card holder.
Sure.
They need to be a perfect citizen. So those folks are going to be very reliable to go to work. Those folks are going to be punctual. They're going to excel to whatever they need to have. but if there's any other opportunity to help somebody else, we'll do it.
So your entire workforce, is your entire workforce individuals under political asylum?
The majority. I'm not going to say
Wow.
that 100%, but the
Gotcha.
majority. The majority, yeah.
Now that I didn't understand.
Because
Gotcha.
because we do need to help the employers to find the candidates
Yes.
to meet their labor needs.
Yes.
I mean, we're helping the employer and we're helping these folks as well, and anybody else that can fall in between that can be able to connect
Okay.
and be able to serve that particular need that it's out there.
Gotcha. Wow, what an interesting story. What a dynamic and an interesting story. And I would say, I could say exciting, but I'm more inspired. Yeah, I'm more inspired. And so your young man comes here from Peru to go to school, right? Didn't speak much English, went to language school, transitioned from the language school, right? English is better, to a 2-year degree, Miami-Dade College.
Associate in Arts, correct.
Associates in Arts at Miami-Dade College. You transition from Miami-Dade College to a 4-year FIU for engineering, right? A bachelor's in engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I think you completed the bachelor's of engineering before you went to work for Workforce, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, you had already, and so you go to work for Workforce, and that kind of, it's like, that's where it clicks, right? That's where that you understood what your passion is and where you want to be and the kind of work you want to do.
That's correct, and
Wow.
and I'm sure that a lot of folks they can learn from this.
Mhm.
You know, don't let anyone else tell you no. Okay,
Yeah,
and if they say no, but if you have in your mind a passion that you want to do, go for it.
yeah. Realize that sometimes a no is not denied. It could be delayed.
It's a
Yeah.
delay.
Yeah,
It's a delay.
sometimes, yeah, a no is not necessarily a denial, just a delay.
And in sales, the no, when you are doing, and that's one thing, when any person that it's a professional,
Yeah.
it's a doctor, a lawyer, a contractor, they need to establish a strategy for business development. And what do you do in business development? You reach out to customers, you do marketing, you do cold emails, cold approaches. And sometimes you're going to get 3 answers or three feedbacks. Yes to do business, no for doing business, or nothing. The worst is getting pretty much nothing.
Gotcha.
Because the no means that it's going to be a yes in the future. Maybe you don't have the right product at the moment to sell. Maybe you don't have what it's needed, but at least they know that you exist.
Yeah,
You start building a relationship.
yeah,
And the most important thing as human beings is that we need to connect.
yes.
If we don't connect, okay, if we don't connect, things are not going to go as you plan. Here in the Atlantic University, I think that they have a strong network.
Yes.
And they need
yes,
to maintain it with
yes,
the years.
Yes.
Imagine, who are you going to trust? Somebody that you went to school for a couple of years, or someone that is knocking at your door
Yeah.
that you don't know?
Yeah, for sure. And so when I think about mentorship and professional development, what are some suggestions there? Like, should our students be reaching out to have mentors while they are active in class, or should they wait till after they've graduated to look for mentors? Professional development, right? What are some of the things they could be doing to develop themselves before even entering the business market, right? Professional, maybe it's some things that they've got to work on themselves, right? In terms of just being able to conduct an interview or being able to prepare a good resume. What are some suggestions or advice that you would give in those areas?
This is going to sound a little bit antique, but the first mentors are your parents, if you have them. Your second
awesome.
mentors are your teachers.
Okay.
The teachers at all the universities,
Yes.
they already had a career path.
Yes.
They already had certain network established.
Yes.
Those are the first folks that you need to approach, and they're going to give you some guidance. I know that we're in an era where everything is technology, everything is Instagram. You see all those gurus, but let's face it. The reality is that when you are talking to someone face to face, it's not the same when you're behind a camera.
Yeah.
So first, I'll suggest the students to develop their personal skills. you don't need to be talking to top professionals. Start in your current network where you
Sure.
at.
Sure.
Participate in
Sure.
activities. Get
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
And then once you think, or a professor told you, hey, I think that you need to search on top of improvements, then at that point look for like a professional assistance,
Gotcha.
only if needed.
Yeah.
But practice is the mother of the skills.
Gotcha.
You need to practice again and again and again until you get it right.
Good deal. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. I was just looking forward to this interview and to talking with you, and you certainly did not disappoint. Again, I love your story because we have a population where a majority of our students are international students, and we want for them to be able to, make that transition, right? Many of them stay here beyond their education to work here in the United States, and some end up staying and living. Some will work and they'll return to their country because of a family business, or to take those skills back and be able to make a contribution in their own communities. But for those like you who have the desire to stay here, right, matriculate into careers here, we want them to be able to hear a story like yours, and to hear how you share advice, right, in terms of how to forge forward, right, what the transition was like for you, and what it may be like for them, but giving tips on how to make sure that they're able to maneuver and make it happen.
My transition, I had the help of my parents because I came as an international student, but my parents had a business visa, an L1.
Okay.
So I
Gotcha.
was under that umbrella of the L2, and then
Yeah.
later on became a resident. However, now there are different ways that they can become permanent residents.
Okay.
One is the work visa,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter what political agenda is going on right now.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if it's red, blue. A good professional is always needed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that during certain times you need to knock more doors out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the same criteria. There's companies out there they offer work visas. There are ways also that you can create your own business
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and create your own visa documentation or investments. I'm not an attorney. I cannot speak out, giving a professional
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
But that information it's available. I'll suggest to go with a really good business immigration attorney.
Okay.
But those opportunities are out there.
Wow.
But they need to do a lot. They need to do the research. They need to
Sure.
do the research
Sure.
and really need to have a plan. Because anything that you want to implement for your visa, you need to have a plan.
Sure.
But those opportunities are out there. And how do you know this? Because not only you go online, but it's through networks. Companies say, okay, well,
Yeah.
if you have this business, if you have money to buy a franchise, then you have the right to claim. You know what? I need to have a business visa because I
Wow.
want to run this
Yeah.
business. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give employment to citizens
Yes.
or residents here in the
Yes.
United States. Correct?
Absolutely.
So as an investor, the same way. Just gotta make sure that you have a good immigration attorney and you have a good CPA or an accountant.
Got it.
You need to have those two people under your umbrella and make sure that you trust them.
Good deal. Wow. Wow. Luis Guardamino, thank you so very much. You didn't disappoint. I was looking forward to it. I think that certainly our students, our viewers and our listeners, right, that are able to hear this or see this podcast will be inspired. We did this because we have a large base of international students, and so I'm sure that we'll take this interview here, and there will be clips of it throughout the university on our TVs, because we want to be able to capture them. We want to be able to allow them to see you and to hear you speak and to hear your story and to be able to take away the nuggets that you've shared here at the table. Thank you so very much. And I'm sure that in the future we'll have you come back and give updates on the market. You're into the labor force, right? You deal with recruiting and placements. And so we love to have you come back and keep us abreast of what's going on in the market and industry industry and share any new information and ideas with us. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for those that have chosen to view or listen to our podcast today. We hope that our guest and we've been able to say something that will inspire you, that will help you in your career, something that will resonate with you. Always feel free to reach out, as our guest speaker said, to your teachers, right? You all have professors, we all have professors, and so we should use them in our path and in our journey to transition from academics to professional. I am again your host, Dr. Miya Burt-Stewart, and we look forward to seeing you again on another session of the Atlanteans podcast. Take care.